Hello everyone, today is going to be a February favorites plus hits and misses, so it's going to show a little bit of everything today, from eyeshadow palettes to lipsticks to makeup brushes and skincare. So we have a lot of ground to cover, but first I did just want to mention my buddy Boris is in the background. He is my little hippo. He's just too cute, so I had to put him in the video. First, we're going to get started with my favorite eyeshadow palettes of the month of February, and I'm going to start with my Smashbox Full Exposure palette. So here is a close-up look at the Smashbox Full Exposure palette. And I love the organization of this palette because it goes from cool to warm, and the shimmers are layered on top of the mattes. So I do have swatches of all the colors on my blog, thereviewer.com, but today I'm just going to give you tips if you haven't already read the review. The first and most important tip that I'm going to give you is to use the Too Faced Shadow Insurance Glitter Glue. It's a glitter bonding eyeshadow primer, and this is the best glitter adhesive that I've used for powder eyeshadows. And I think that if you have a glittery or a very shimmery eyeshadow, this particular primer works really well. All the matte shades are beautifully pigmented, but you have to dig in. You have to take your brush, whether you're using a blender or a flat shader for the matte colors, and really dig your brushes into it. Don't be shy. It will kick up some powder dust, but you really want to break up that surface and really get that pigment on that brush. And next up, we have the Narcissist eyeshadow palette, and obviously this was highly anticipated. It sold out on Nordstrom.com. That's where I purchased mine, and I feel like this palette is also another hit or miss, but it is a hit with me, and I absolutely love how easy it is to use. I'm actually wearing it today. I think that the color palette of Narcissist actually suits an edgier vibe best. It is a little bit more smoky, and though these shades here are on the lighter end of the spectrum, they are quite pigmented. They're surprisingly well pigmented, in fact. And I think that this NARS one is particularly well done for the price. So even though it is expensive, in the long term, you do get your bang for your buck. And I think that whether you have the full size, for example, Lhasa, which is a silvery pewter gray, I find that the original has a little bit more of a sheen. It's a little bit longer lasting without primer, but at the end of the day, it's still a great value because I get to carry all of these shades together. And you really can't beat that convenience factor. So if you do like NARS eyeshadows and you don't have too many of the singles, I highly recommend splurging on this palette. And now for some more Tom Ford. Tom Ford eyeshadows are still my favorite. I think that these two quads that I'm going to talk to you about today, Seductive Rose and Cocoa Mirage, are actually my new favorites. As you can see in this close-up, you have 3 matte shades and 1 slightly shimmering satin. And I think that they create a multitude of textures, and they create a lot of dimension even though they are mostly matte eyeshadows. So I do think that because it is so universally flattering, everyone should have this in their makeup arsenal. And the next one, Seductive Rose, is a gorgeous shimmery eyeshadow palette. So this might not strike everyone's fancy, but I do love purple. Seductive Rose is so easy to fall in love with. The textures, the pigmentation, it has all the wow factor in an eyeshadow quad, and I do actually, since I have been wearing a lot of purple these days, have been reaching for this just as much as Cocoa Mirage. My favorite thing about this quad is that it contains 2 sparkle shadows, and I just think that the purple and the pink combined just make it a really feminine but modern smoky eye look, and I think that this is one of my favorite pink-purple duos. I also really love the Chanel Spring 2014 duo, and this one is number 70. I just used it in my most recent video, which is the Spring 2014 review and tutorial, but I think that this one is excellent for those of you who don't like a glittery texture. So if you just prefer smooth, shimmery shadow that's luminous but not glittery, then definitely stick to the Chanel. But if you like that extra blingy factor, if you love the sparkle and shine, then try the Seductive Rose. And we're back to some more Tom Ford with his Spring 2014 lipsticks. I'll start with Summer Fling since it was the one that was my least favorite out of the 8 that he released. I have found that this particular lipstick, because it feels slightly grittier on the lips due to the more noticeable shimmer particles, I found that this lipstick works best with a really thick gloss like the Stila Lip Glaze, And this is a mini set actually, and this is the full size. So as you can see, it's about double the barrel size. But Summer Fling looks amazing when paired with this pink sugar color. I absolutely love these two. And because the lip glaze is so thick, it is a long-lasting gloss, and some people may not like it because it is a little bit stickier. So if you can handle the tackiness, I do recommend trying it. I just love that combination. Now for some eyebrow chatter. I definitely think that the Anastasia brow products are probably the best alternative to my Clé de Peau pencil. So I actually have really fallen head over heels for the Anastasia Granite Brow Powder Duo. I'm not wearing it today, but I do think that this brow powder duo is excellent for those of us Asian girls with ashy gray brows or naturally black eyebrows. And Granite has no red whatsoever. I have been using the Brow Wiz in Granite, but interestingly enough, as much as I like the Brow Wiz pencil, I definitely prefer the Granite brow powder. And I haven't used powder in a long time. The Granite powder just really works for me. It's intensely pigmented, but it gives a softer finish. It's not as harsh as the Granite brow pencil. If you're going to look for a more full coverage brow look, I highly recommend you try the Dip Brow in Ebony. This one has just a little bit more of a brunette feel to it as opposed to a jet black ashy tone. So I do hope that Anastasia will release a Dip Brow in Granite sometime, but for now, Ebony works really well if you use a light hand. A little goes a long way. You definitely don't want to overdo it with this or it will look like you have tattooed on eyebrows. Now for the part that everyone's been waiting for, brushes. I've been testing so many brushes. You guys have no idea how big my brush cleaning pile has gotten recently. But I am excited to share with you my thoughts on the Hakuhodo brushes that I have been using most, as well as some other brushes. I'll start with the Hakuhodo face brushes since I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently for this. I'll start with the 5557, so 3 5s and a 7. This is the flat top. And I have been using this with powder, but I don't think it's the best for powder. It has a slightly stiffer feel against the face. So I, from now on, will be using this with liquid foundation. And now for the S103, which is my absolute favorite. I've been using this with my Tom Ford bronzer non-stop. I use it all the time to give myself a slightly sculpted face to narrow out my cheekbone area here. And I think that this brush is absolutely essential if you love bronzer. If you like to contour, I even get the sides of my nose with this. And I just think there's a reason this brush is always sold out, and it's because it's that great. The only problem is though, I have been traveling with this and I have chipped the bottom of the lacquering, and so I do not recommend traveling with these brushes because you do pay the premium for the expensive handles. Because they are so delicate, I recommend leaving these at home and traveling with less expensive versions. And now for my favorite powder brush at the moment. This is the S106, and it is an angled brush, so it is easy to layer into the contours of the face. So it works on the planes of the face as well as the contours like around the nose, around the jawline area. And I think that this is one of the best powder brushes I've ever used. It's ultra soft, really densely packed, and it just has a super unique shape. So I highly recommend this one. Very, very good stuff here. So first I purchased this Makeup Forever brush. This is the 112, and I loved how short the brush head was. So I like this dome shape quite a bit, especially for powders. I feel like it gives a more full coverage look, which I like. It's a lot less effort in a lot less time. So when I received the all over face brush, I was elated because it is almost exactly the same shape, except this one's a little bit more tapered at the top. It's just that the Makeup Forever version is a lot more dense. So first of all, it takes forever to dry, probably a full day or more. And I just find that the M version works better with all sorts of powders, whereas the Makeup Forever only works really well with Makeup Forever's powder foundation or lighter powder foundations like the Giorgio Armani Lasting Silk. And even though it's a great brush for applying my Armani powder foundation, I just find that it's a little bit of a waste of money to buy one brush for one specific powder in my collection. So I do think that if you are looking for a synthetic powder brush, the M is definitely the way to go. And last but not least for brushes, I, as many of you know, have had acne in the past few months, and I have scarring that is healing, but it is discolored. So the scars are much smaller now, and they're getting darker, so it's on its path to healing. But this means I do need concealer to give myself a flawless look. And I've been using the Sigma Angled Pixel Concealer a lot. This is the F69, and it has an angled brush head, but it's perfect for concealing my blemishes because it's the perfect size to dab concealer on. And instead of blending concealer in with my finger like I do for the under eye area, it's best to just pinpoint a little bit of concealer here and there, and that is the best way to cover blemishes, because if you just put concealer all over one spot, one cluster of blemishes, it actually attracts more attention. So if you pinpoint concealer just a little spot directly on that dark spot or that active blemish, it will actually help to conceal it much better. Now for some First Aid Beauty products. This is their new range. It's the red packaging, and I'm going to talk about the cleanser first because I like it more. And this has red clay to remove excess oil, unclog pores, and purify the skin. It's safe for sensitive skin, and I do like this. I think that it's a great morning cleanser. My skin is very clean but not stripped, so I have been enjoying this one very much. On the other hand, the purifying mask with red clay, this one is meant to minimize pores, control oil, and mattify the skin, but I haven't really seen much of a result with this one. I do think that the cleanser is a better buy, but if you have very oily skin, this may help to reduce your oiliness throughout the day. So it didn't work out as well as the cleanser for me because I do prefer the Glam Glow detoxifying mask. And speaking of Glam Glow, actually I have another Glam Glow product here today. This is their Bright Mud Eye Treatment, and I actually have been liking these quite a bit because I have started to see under eye circles. I'm already using eye cream, so I figure I might as well follow up with eye treatments as well. And it comes in these 2 pods, one for each eye, and you just swipe it on, let it set for 3 minutes, and you can feel it working. So as soon as I take it off, I feel that my eyes are less puffy. And I do have serious issues with puffiness. My face gets bloated very easily. So I have been loving these in the mornings before I apply my makeup. So I do think that this is a great buy, and you can get 30% off. There's a coupon code down below in the description box. If you have issues with wiping it off with a tissue, do what I do and just wash it off with water. And to start winding things down, I'm going to talk to you about my hair. So now that my hair is back to black, I have been trying different new hair products, and I'm back to using my Enjoy Professional Hair Care, the conditioning spray, which if you've watched me for a few years, you knew I was obsessed with for a while back. So if you have oily hair or very heavy hair and you don't like to weigh it down with the ever popular hair oils, I love my Shu Uemura Absolute, but if you're not into that trend, then definitely try this conditioning spray. It's lightweight. I like to use it after I hop out of the shower and my hair is damp before I blow dry it, but you can actually use it, spray it in during the shower and then rinse it out if you want. Personally, I think it's more effective when you use it as a leave-in, but this tames frizz. So I do think that this is a great product, and it's only $18 for this great big bottle, and you can also score 20% off using the discount code below. And now for the luxury conditioner. So many of you know, if you've watched my empties, that I love and swear by my Kerastase and Shu Uemura shampoos, especially the cleansing oil one. But because I didn't discuss conditioner, a lot of you have been asking what I've been using, and I do use Kerastase and Shu Uemura conditioners, but I've also been switching in and out between this Enjoy Luxury Conditioner and this color holding formula, Luxe in Hair Color. So I do find that this one does help with prolonging my hair color, and I love this one because a little goes a long way, and it doesn't feel just like a hair conditioner. It feels like in between a conditioner and a mask. So last but not least for today, I have a mist, and this is the biggest mist of all. This is the Orly Won't Chip resistant top coat. This top coat is definitely not chip resistant. My nails have never looked so bad, and I'm almost embarrassed to show them because the chipping is so bad at the tips. And I don't even have an issue with tip wear, much less chipping. So that's why I stick to my Butter London hardware top coat and my Guerlain gel, even though it's a pain in the butt to wait for that top coat to dry. I think both of them work really well with all designer or drugstore nail polishes, but anytime I use Orly or OPI top coats, they just really don't work for me. So again, Stick to Butter London, and Girl On. That's a wrap, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed that very long episode, but I hope you found it helpful. Again, all products and discount codes will be listed down below in the description box as always. Thanks so much for tuning in, everyone, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!